The Burrow Collector's Edition is the latest Harry Potter direct-to-consumer set, and while it might easily be the largest version of the iconic house, it is by no means the first. Today we're going to be comparing all 3 models of the Burrow that LEGO has officially released. I guess there have been 4, I'm skipping out on the advent calendar one, sorry. But we'll be starting with the 2010 version, working our way to the 2020 playset, and then finally to the latest and perhaps greatest version, the one that just came out here in September. So, hey, let's take a closer look. The 2010 Burrow holds a pretty special place in my heart. My brother and I actually won this set through one of the LEGO Club magazine contests way back in the day. I hope I can find a scan of that specific contest. I think there was something like 30 winners of this set. It was pretty cool. There had been other LEGO Harry Potter houses made beforehand, such as 3 versions of Hagrid's hut at this point, and of course 2002's number 4 Privet Drive. But this was definitely the most extravagant wizarding house done up to that point. The 2010 LEGO Harry Potter sets in particular brought a lot of realism and movie accuracy to the toys for the first time. It was also an era in which we were getting very elaborately detailed minifigures. So I want to go ahead and break those down and compare them to the more modern sets right away. A standout figure from across all 3 sets is going to be Molly Weasley. Unsurprisingly, the Collector's Edition Molly has garnered a lot of praise for the awesome level of detailing, especially those printed arms. But there is something about that original 2010 figure that is pretty perfect. LEGO just put a lot of finer detail into the figures during this era. I think that's most apparent when you look at the Lord of the Rings figures from this time. And honestly too, that classic Hermione hairpiece recolored in dark orange works pretty well for her hair. I've never been entirely sold on the newer hairpiece developed for Molly, but I think the 2024 figure pulls it off pretty well. Another constant across all 3 sets is going to be naturally the inclusion of Arthur Weasley. I think it's especially interesting to note in the 2010 figure there on the left that the torso printing's skin tone is actually a shade darker than you would expect. LEGO ended up using the darker nougat color to make sure that the skin color opacity was up to par. You'll see this across some of the other 2010 figures too. The 2024 Arthur features a brown wizard's hat, which is a really nice inclusion. It's worth pointing out that all the 2024 figures are based on their Chamber of Secrets appearances, whereas the other 2 smaller play sets are much more Half-Blood Prince sets, as you'll see once we take a look at the side builds. The only other Weasley to consistently appear throughout all 3 sets is going to be Ginny. The 2010 Ginny is honestly really quite perfect. You get, once again, printed legs, quite a treat, a specialized face print, specialized hairpiece for the time, lots of great stuff going on. The 2020 version of Ginny is probably the weakest, using a more generic face print. I believe that's a Jurassic World print if I'm not mistaken. And it just does not look like the actress at all, in my opinion. The torso print is nice though, and I'm glad that that specialized hairpiece hung around all those years so it could make a reappearance here. I do quite enjoy the 2024 version of Ginny too, based on her brief appearance at the Burrow in the Chamber of Secrets when Harry and the boys come in early in the morning. And of course, it wouldn't be a Harry Potter set without Harry Potter being included in every single set. There's nothing too noteworthy about any of these figures. The 2024 version is new and exclusive to the Collector's Edition though. He does have a rather fun double-sided face, one of which is the soot-covered one from when he ends up in Nocturne Alley. Heading back to the 2010 Burrow, we've got 2 more figures included here. That's going to be Fenrir Greyback and Bellatrix Lestrange. On Fenrir here in the 2010 version, you could really see the use of that darker skin paint applied to the chest there. From a distance though, it does read pretty well, and it probably looks better than if there was going to be just a kind of washed out white mass there instead. Kind of like what you see in the 2020 version. Yeah, I guess it's up to you to decide which one is better. I think overall the 2020 version of the figure is an improvement, but again, you can easily see how the detail is just less refined than it was a decade earlier. The lines are thicker and the shapes are a bit more generalized. I like the use of the generic wizarding leg print though, it just adds an element of class to the figure without adding a lot of cost. 2010 Bellatrix remains one of the best LEGO Harry Potter minifigures ever produced. There's just so much wonderful detail from head to toe on this figure, and it's no wonder why she remains so incredibly desirable even to today. The 2020 Bellatrix, in my opinion, doesn't even come close. I mean, the face print alone is just so normal, and Bellatrix is not normal. I love the crazed expression she has in that original 2010 figure. This one will always be my go-to for mocks. And that finishes up the figure lineup for this set at least. We'll tackle the others when we get to those sets. There's a lot of side builds here, surprisingly, but they all help you play out various scenes from the movies. Of course, you have to have a reference to the Flu Network and the fireplace, and that's what this side build is here. It's a pretty simple mechanism. You basically just end up launching whoever ends up in the fireplace backwards and they disappear. And then you get a sticker with green flames on them. It's not a particularly advanced or attractive build, but it gets the point across. I am unfortunately missing a sticker on the top. It would give you directions on how to use the Flu Network, essentially. This is a rather interesting build here. It's a little bit of terrain and swamp that Harry finds himself in when he goes chasing after Bellatrix in the Half-Blood Prince. Delightfully, it comes with two dark tan bushes, which are always great and very useful pieces to have. There is, of course, a frog hidden down there as well. You've got a catapult, which you can use to launch flame pieces, or another catapult to launch more spells around. These mini catapults were really popular during this time period. A lot of these came with the Kingdom sets in particular, and the designer just couldn't resist the urge to get them in here. At the end of the day though, these are largely inconsequential compared to the main build itself. And again, for its time, this was pretty remarkable. When you saw all three Burrows lined up side by side earlier, you can see how they all retain that same perfect shape that you'd expect. And because this was made, well, 14 years ago, it didn't have access to all the parts and recolors that modern sets do, and it was working at a considerably smaller budget, having retailed for, I believe, $60 at the time. But it did not skimp on any of the detail, including even a pig pen out on the side, something that has proven essential to all the LEGO Harry Potter versions of the Burrow. As you'll see across all three sets as well, each is heavily reliant on stickers. A lot of the interior detail especially is accomplished with stickers. And speaking of interior, let's turn this thing around and see what's on the inside. It is all open up around the back, which is totally fine, and even the bottom floor extends out a little bit to get the entirety of the dining table. I do love just how much space there is inside this model in particular. Lots of room to move and pose figures around. There's a small kitchen complete with plates, frying pans, and then you'll even find some utensils hidden away in the drawers, which is a really nice touch. The table's got all sorts of goodies on it too, including some food, lots of goblets, and then there's also a copy of the Daily Prophet, a common print that appeared throughout many of the 2010 sets. In the back you have a grandfather clock, though surprisingly it's not the iconic Weasley clock, something that definitely makes an appearance in the other two sets. Moving up, you have a bedroom. Judging by the bunk beds, it makes the most sense that this would be the bedroom of Fred and George, but of course they're not included in this set, so you could put whoever you want in here. There is a trunk included on this floor, which the instructions must tell you to put Hedwig on, so this could be considered Harry's trunk. On the inside, you've got some golden galleons and two socks. Those socks are printed dials and at least features in the Dobby's release set from the same wave. Above that, it makes sense that this would be Ron's bedroom closest to the attic. He's got a lamp way buried back in there, and then a copy of the Quibbler, another printed towel that appeared in a few sets in 2010. I do think it's kind of cute that all the beds have matching blue and orange bedspreads on them. The set in general actually makes really good use of color. You get the bright green for the grass, flowers, and then the blue windows. It was just a lot more vibrant than a lot of the other Harry Potter sets, you know, from any time before this. It's a nice break from the monotonous tans and grays that you see of Hogwarts Castle. For a decade, this set had the honor of being the only only LEGO official Burrow, and I think it did a great job in its role. But since the 2018 reboot, it was inevitable that we'd be getting a modern version of it. So let's take a look at that one. So this is a set that actually even just a few weeks ago I did not have. I picked it up with the specific intention of using it for this video. And I'm so glad that this video gave me the excuse to buy it because it is a fantastic playset. I will always have a soft spot for the 2010 version, but this thing really blows it out of the water. Before we look at the house itself, let's take a look at the remaining minifigures that we didn't cover earlier. In addition to Ginny, Harry, Arthur, Molly, Fenrir, and Bella... Wait, I got 2 Fenrirs. There we go. Anyway, in addition to Ginny, Harry, Arthur, Molly, Fenrir, and Bellatrix, you also get Ron, of course. The 2020 version features a Half-Blood Prince Ron, and the collector's edition gives you a Chamber of Secrets Ron, which appropriately uses the shorter legs. Nothing too crazy about either figure. I think they do their job representing their characters both very well. Nymphadora Tonks was definitely a highlight of this set, as I believe this was her first appearance in LEGO form. She's got a nice torso print, but a very generic reused face print. There is a very small side build here. It is the wall of flames that surrounds the burrow in the Half-Blood Prince, and these flames can part so that Harry can jump through and go chasing after Bellatrix. The larger flame pieces are pretty cool, as they are made with 2 different plastics. You got the trans neon orange in the bottom, slowly melting away into trans brown, which looks pretty cool. Yeah, what is this all together though? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pieces. Yeah, don't worry, not too much of the parts budget was spent on this little thing. No, that went into creating this beauty. Like the 2010 version of this set, it is not complete around the back. It is a playset after all, and I'm certainly not going to fault it for that. But the exterior does such a great job of capturing that iconic shape. And I think it's just really cleverly designed in such a way, right, that from the right angle, it does look like it's completed around all sides, but it still gives you plenty of room for interior. And in places you might not expect. You saw that the back was all opened up, but you can also pop this open to get access to even more bonus interior sections. The set just utilizes its space really, really well, and I love how it folds out like that. The exterior, of course, just has a lot of visible improvements upon the 2010 model, giving you a fuller shape of the house. I really like just the use of red in the roof, right? Again, so vibrant, lots of great colors going on here with the sand blue incorporated in the windows. It's really dynamic too, right? There's a lot of great depth here. The windows pop out. Lots of fun details like on the balcony here, the different textures you get with the bricks. Awesome stuff. And at this scale too, the entryway is done perfectly. I really love the use of that triangular sign piece up there. And then there's just a ton going on in the interior. So to even give you better access to that ground floor, you can fold the whole dining section out like this, and it gives you the view of probably my favorite dining table across all 3 sets. This one is just absolutely stacked with a delicious looking breakfast. It's so awesome. And this here, this juice pitcher with orange juice, super simple design, right? It's a clear coffee mug on top with a bright light orange minifigure head beneath it. I almost said player head. I'm such a Minecraft guy at this point. Brilliant design, right? It just feels like it's filled with fresh, squeezed orange juice. And then looking a little deeper, you can see once again a lot of sticker detail, but it really does bring the set to life. Here, instead of a generic grandfather clock, we have the Weasley clock, which is really cool. Lovely colors all over the place here. It looks awesome. Maybe isn't supposed to be removed. How did I get it out? If we rotate around, we can see yet another little pig pen here. This time around, we've got a slightly updated pig, this time colored in bright pink. And if we open this up again, we can see a lot more interior stuff, like the fireplace, of course. You can't actually put a minifigure in this fireplace, but you can, by spinning a crank on the outside of the house, make the flames turn green, which is a really nice touch. More bookshelf detail, tables all around, just lots of fun accessories. I do really like the look of the couch too. It makes great use of a lot of modern rounded elements. just a really cozy, lovely interior space. It's held together simply by a snot brick sticking into the backside of a headlight brick, and that provides plenty of friction for you to carry it around without worrying about it falling off. The dining room does flop around a little bit. If we turn the build back around and go up a floor, we can see Ginny's bedroom depicted for the first time. She's got some hollyhead harpies bedding, which is pretty fun, and then a desk with a mirror, and you can even see her broom mounted on the wall from her Quidditch glory days. Moving up a floor is going to be Arthur and Molly's bedroom. You've got a much larger bed, which is really nice. You can fit 2 figures in there. And then you get the self-knitting quilt over in the armchair there, which is just a really nice touch. Using wands to string it together, which I do really like. And above that is going to be Ron's bedroom with, of course, the Chudley Cannons merch all over the place. Each room has a really nice, distinct color scheme, too. They're instantly recognizable as whose is whose. Ron's room provides access to this back balcony up here, which has another broomstick. And then in the attic, you have room for 2 of the set's owls, or I suppose anything else you would like. While I was building this set to review for this video, I instantly fell in love with it. And honestly, one of the best things about it is just how affordable it is right now. Remember, it hasn't been discontinued too long, and I was able to get this used copy on Bricklink for $60, which is awesome. Originally it retailed for $100, but you can get that for almost half price. Definitely if you're willing to find some deals, on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, and it is so worth that price. It is really a fantastic set. And I think if you're not willing to shell out the $260 for the collector's edition Burrow, this is such a great compromise. You can get 2 of these for still half the price of the new Burrow, and you could finish off the backside with those extra pieces. Definitely something to keep in mind. But sometimes bigger is just better. And with an insane part count and an insane budget, the collector's edition of the Burrow was always bound to deliver something incredible. Designer George Gilliott and the rest of the team involved with this project have given us a building experience that well lives up to the hype. It does dwarf the minifigures in such a way that seems a touch unrealistic when compared to the films, but that provides so much wonderful room for some really great interiors. Before we crack it open though, let's take a look at the remaining minifigures included here. This set is notable in that it includes the entire Weasley clan. That means you get Fred and George with brand new outfits in this set. They've got the medium legs to represent their, again, Chamber of Secrets appearances. You get our second version of Percy. The only other version of Percy that we've gotten before was actually included in a book, so he just wasn't that easy to get your hands on. And then we get our first Bill Weasley. Bill here looks great. You got a double-sided face, one without the scars from Fenrir and then one with, to give his appearance later on in the Deathly Hallows. It's unlikely that we'll ever get Burying Dobby, the Lego set, so I think it's safe to say that this might be his only appearance ever. I think they did a great job. Obviously, would have been nice to see some printed legs, though it really isn't necessary for this figure. And then we also get Charlie. Charlie never appeared in the movies, so Lego probably had a lot of creative freedom with him. And of course, all that we do know about him is that he was known for working with dragons. So he's got this really rough around the edges sort of appearance. He's wearing like a dragon hide cloak. It's really, really cool. And the set gives him a dragon egg to take home. I think it's really cool that this figure that we've never seen before is still instantly recognizable. Great stuff. I'll give you a moment to just take in the wonderful details that are included all around this model. I think what's especially fun about the exterior is that it really does not rely on many stickered elements at all. What you're seeing here is all brick-built detail. The only stickers that you're really going to be seeing from the outside are mainly the windows towards the base, which I think look really good, and I'm totally happy with that kind of stickering. A fun little gimmick that I might as well point out is that you can switch these side sections around. The Chamber of Secrets would have you entering through the pig pen before you get into the house, and so you can do that here. Or you can move the pig pen off to the side of the house to more accurately reflect how it appears in Half-Blood Prince. That is a completely unnecessary, but such a cool attention to detail. It really shows just how much research was poured into this set, which, as a fan of both the books and the movies, I really, really appreciate. You probably noticed it with the 2020 version of the Burrow, but that had the whole house at an angle coming towards you, whereas the angle here is more off to the side. There aren't any mind-boggling techniques going on, but that's okay. It's a really satisfying build to make as you just put bricks on top of bricks and watch some of these fun details pop out, like especially the windows that you can see all around. Great use of the dark turquoise color, angles of some of these. Just looking at it makes me smile. Anyway, we'd better open it up. And as to be expected for a set of this size, there is just no shortage of wonderful interior detailing. I don't even know where to start. Suppose we can start on the bottom. Off in our living area on the bottom floor, we have, of course, the iconic fireplace, which has the biggest and most important play feature of this set. It makes use of the new, I believe it's the Archimedes gear, to actually lift a minifigure up into the ceiling so that they essentially disappear for a while, and then you can lower them back down. You've even got the little cup of flue powder here, which I thought it was fun to know. It actually makes use of the same fez element that we saw back in the 2010 set. Off to the side, you've got a little kitchen with self-washing dishes if you press the button here. It's a fun little feature. It's just accomplished using one of those rubber pieces that bounces the brush back into place. Above the fireplace is probably the set's largest stickered element, but I think it looks all right. There wasn't much the designer could do here except slap a big tile on it because the whole area behind it has to be really open to fit a minifigure. There's some fun Easter eggs in there, like the photo of the whole family in Egypt, for example. And then moving over, you're gonna see the dining table. It is a bit smaller than the 2020 version, but there's still a good spread of food on there. They've used a very similar technique for the jug, but it doesn't beat the orange juice from 2020. And then that door in the back is the back entrance to the house. This room in particular is where most of the stickers I feel go. Every single panel is stickered in here, and it was a bit tedious. I would have liked to have seen more brick built detailed in this room. You do get the Weasley clock again. Ironically, it is once again smaller than the one we saw in the 2020 set, but it is geared up around the back so you can spin it remotely, which is pretty cool. You also probably noticed on the wall that there is another one of those wizard portraits. There's two included in this set. We'll take a look at the other in a second. I still am nowhere near close to completing my collection of those, so I think I got at least one new one in here. I've got to double check. If we head back over to the other side and move up past the fireplace, you're gonna see the other one of those portraits. There's just no room for an interior space here. As you can see, it just gets really, really thin, but that's a great use of the space. Above that is the bathroom, which I think looks really nice. A lot of sticker details again, but some of it's really cute, like the toothbrush holders for the entire family. Lots of great little builds here, especially love the toilet paper Technic piece there. Great stuff. Moving above that, you've got an attic storage space. There's a spider, which is ironically directly across from Ron's bedroom. Hope he doesn't know that's there. And then there is the upper balcony here, which has implied access via a ladder. The only one of its kind. There's no staircases or anything, unless you include the great technique for getting the roof. These are actually all staircase elements to help support the roof, which I think is really, really cool. But obviously putting a staircase from floor to floor here would eat up all of the available space. So I'm glad they were omitted. To access the rest of the interior on this side of the house, you actually have to remove the sections like these. Again, this set just makes such great use of every available space to fit in as much as possible. You actually get all the kids' bedrooms in this set. We'll start by taking a look at Ginny's here on the bottom floor, which is a bit harder to access since you can't remove her room independently. But there's lots of great details and actually still a decent amount of space in there. The funniest detail in the room is definitely the copy of the Daily Prophet with Harry's face plastered on it. Ron's bedroom is above hers. You can access his room with this convenient hole in the wall here, or by removing the roof entirely. His room actually gets you out onto the balcony, which is kind of a fun touch, and there is enough room that door can completely open, which I really like. You're seeing a lot of familiar Chudley Cannon stuff, which is great, but the thing I'm less familiar with is Ron's clock collection. I don't quite remember what that's referring to. He's got such a great window here. I think that looks really nice. Just so hodgepodge and random. And now there's just one thing that I was desperately hoping for from the set, and it was a reference to the ghoul in the attic. Again, they've done their research. There is indeed a small reference to everybody's favorite attic ghoul. I believe there's a line in the book that talks about the ghoul keeping Ron awake at night by banging on the pipes in the attic. And indeed, if you look really closely inside here, there are some copper pipes and a wrench to clang against them all night long. There's also a little wizard card hidden away in there. But this little detail made me smile so much. Absolutely fantastic. We can move over onto the other side now, where we'll find Fred and George's bedroom. They're cooking up ideas for Weasley's Wizard Wheezes already. You'll see a joke box and then a little chalkboard in the back with some ideas. There's lots of little Easter eggs to the joke shop hidden around, which is really, really fun. Above that is going to be Molly and Arthur's room. The bed is at a slight angle, which I think is really fun. It just plays into the wonkiness of the house. There's Muggle artifacts scattered all around the rim of the room, which I think is a really fun touch. And then I really like this Weasel ornamentation sticker on the end of the bed. Above that is going to be Percy's bedroom, where he's definitely not writing letters to Penelope Clearwater. It's really cool to see how tidy his room is compared to all the others. It does feel very like Percy. I guess the one thing that I really can't stand about this set is that it doesn't lock together. So when you move it around, it does have a tendency to fly open on you. That's probably a real easy modification to make. If it just had a clip somewhere instead of just, as you can see, we've just got axles basically fitting into those holes. Just a little clip on the outside to lock it up. That would be perfect. But otherwise, yeah, this is unsurprisingly the ultimate version of the Burrow. I think it's quite fun that, each of these brings something really special to the table. For the 2010 version, it is definitely some exquisite minifigures, including probably the best version of Bellatrix Lestrange that we've ever gotten. If you want the most bang for your buck, it's definitely the 2020 version that you should set your eyes on. A used version of this set, like I said, can probably cost you less than $60, which is fantastic. But if you're feeling really ambitious and you've got the funds for it, you will not be disappointed with the collector's edition. To have it enclosed around all sides is kind of a dream come true. There's no angle from which it looks bad. There's so much love and heart poured into this one. And weirdly, it might actually be my favorite direct-to-consumer Harry Potter set yet. This is not one that I see myself taking apart. It's kind of perfect. I imagine this video is far too long. Looking at the camera now, it says I've been recording for an hour, which is a lot. So I think that's all I've got. Let me know what your favorite version of the Burrow is, if you have any, or looking to get any in particular. I hope you have yourself a fantastic life. Thanks for tuning in and sticking around to the end, and I will see you next time.